Let's finish out chapter 12 with the demonstration that you can do objectives 16 and 17. 16 talks about how cancer cells actually escape normal cell cycle controls. There's a bit more detail in the book than I'm about to give you here. And then objective 17 asks you to distinguish between the different types of tumors that can exist when cells become cancerous, when cells begin to create big balls of themselves. So first, you have to understand that these checkpoints exist in order to not allow cells where something is going wrong in the process of cell division to continue, to divide, to create daughter cells that will then pass along those problems to their future daughter cells. But cancer cells, they don't respond to the normal checkpoints that exist within the cell cycle. They just ram right through them. Cyclin levels are high. They're just saying divide, 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 no problem. Make sure that you look in your book for more detail on this. They also exhibit a few characteristics that normal cells do not. The first one is they do not adhere to the rule of density-dependent inhibition. What that means is normally when a cell begins to divide, and it begins to divide as a big mass, after a while the cells will actually themselves create a hormone that will go back to the DNA and bind to a certain gene sequence and say, wait a minute, we're creating too many cells here, that we have this big mass of cells, it's not the right way that it's supposed to be. We've evolved to have this kind of stop mechanism within us. But cancerous cells do not display density-dependent inhibition. They actually will then be able to just continue to divide even though there are tons of them in one area. So that's a problem, and that's a characteristic of cancer cells. Additionally, they're able to divide without being anchored somewhere. So they don't demonstrate something called anchorage dependence. A normal cell needs to be bound to something like a tissue in the body in order to then divide, have an anchor or something that it's sticking to, but cancer cells do not. And specifically where this applies to humans is when a cancerous tumor is dividing and dividing and dividing, some cells may break off and actually go into the bloodstream. And in the bloodstream, they're not anchored to anything, but they're still able to divide, go into other regions of the body, maybe then become anchored and begin to divide there. And that's a bad thing. That's called metastasis, when cancer cells break off from a tumor, go through the bloodstream elsewhere, and then divide elsewhere. The transformation of a normal to a cancerous cell is demonstrated here. The example that we're using is breast tissue. And you can see here in number 1 that a tumor can grow from a single cell. It divides and divides and invades neighboring tissue, but then it may metastasize and go into the bloodstream and then go off and begin a tumor in other parts of the body. I'm going from left to right here, 1 through 4. On a personal note, I've been very saddened by some of my friends growing up who have had cancer, and some of them who have had metastasis of their cancer. And I feel sorry for them. A lot of times metastasis occurs because of lack of early detection. Make sure that you know your body the best, better than anyone, and make sure that if something begins to not feel right, or you have a lump somewhere, or things aren't going well, that you go get it checked out. My friends who've had terrible cancers as a result of metastasis, from it going, say, from their lymph node down into their stomach or their testicles or their kidneys or somewhere terrible, it's been because they've said to themselves, this is not bad, I'm 22, 25 years old, I'm healthy, I'm going to be okay. And then they've waited, and then by the time medical intervention has taken place, they've had cancers that have gone to different parts. And so just all I'm asking you is just to, if something's wrong, go get yourself checked out. That's all. The different types of tumors that we're going to be talking about and that you'll read about are called malignant or benign. Malignant has the prefix mal or mal, and I know from Spanish that that means bad. So I just remember that a malignant tumor is a bad tumor. Benign tumor is one that you may be able to live with, that's non-cancerous at the moment. Let's watch a movie on cancer cells.
Cell division is essential for healthy growth of an organism, and complex genetic mechanisms have evolved to switch cell division on and off at the proper time for normal development. Cancer happens when cells divide uncontrollably and produce a growing lump or tumor. Some tumors give out chemical signals that prompt the growth of blood vessels to supply them with oxygen and food. A particularly dangerous aspect of cancer is metastasis. Here, small pieces of the tumor break off and travel through the bloodstream to invade other parts of the body.